Okay, tonight we're covering a case out of Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, that is almost impossible to wrap your head around because the danger in this case wasn't outside the home, it was already inside. And as we go through this video, I'm going to give you my commentary, point out what stands out, and talk through the details of a case that is as disturbing as it is heartbreaking. So, if you're here for real conversation and a straight breakdown of what we're about to watch, let's get into it.
A reclusive family of 9 is living out their lives as disconnected from the outside world as they can manage. And as far as outsiders can tell, there's not a cause for concern. They are quiet, don't bother anyone, and other than being distant appear otherwise normal. But all of that would change in July of 2015.
Broken Arrow 911.
12-year-old Daniel Bever called 911 to report the unthinkable. His family was under attack. He was barely able to make it to the phone to place the call. How was this family caught so off guard? Or were they? The heartlessness and brutality of this case is certainly gruesome enough. But how these attackers went about gaining access to their innocent victims will most certainly make your blood boil. We'll be talking about the case of the Broken Arrow murders, a tragedy that involved 5 family members being brutally murdered in their home in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. We are well aware of how disturbed and disturbing so many killers can be. We see it too often. But when we cover cases that contain footage that reveal how completely callous these killers are, it's chilling. It's like one of our commenters said on another video. Today, I'm not very proud to be part of the same species as these people. So let's get to the case. And before we get started, if you like how we present this case, please help us out by hitting like and subscribe and hopefully share. We appreciate you. Let's go. April and David Bever lived with their 7 children and pet dog, Sally, in what most outside observers considered a life that didn't warrant much attention. Not much is known about the couple's early life other than the fact that they married when April was 15, according to her. In 2007, April and David moved their young and growing family of 4 children to a large home in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, the 4th largest city in the state, nestled just outside of Tulsa. At 5 bedrooms, 4.5 baths, it was one of the largest and most expensive homes on the block, and they would eventually need it. David worked in IT for an oil and natural gas company in Tulsa, while April stayed home to reportedly homeschool the children, even though there was no evidence that she did. None of the local homeschool groups had any interactions with the family. The main objective of homeschooling appeared to be to prevent the children from interacting with the outside world, including even other children. Their outside play was generally restricted to the backyard, and outside activities were not allowed. Neighbors rarely saw the children and seldom saw the parents either. In general, neighbors regarded them as a quiet and reclusive family. Co-workers at David's job described him as a quiet, nice person who kept to himself and didn't get involved in office politics. By 2015, David and April had 3 more children since moving into the home, 7 children in all, ranging in age from 2 to 18 years old. The oldest, Robert, was 18. Michael was 16. Crystal, 13. Daniel, 12. Christopher, 7. 5-year-old Victoria, and 2-year-old Autumn. The 2 oldest siblings, Michael and Robert, were inseparable. The younger brother looked up to his older brother, and they spent all their time together, bonding over similar interests like online gaming. And while the family was living in relative obscurity, all of that would change on the late night of July 22, 2015.
Broken Arrow 911. Hello?
Hi,
Hi, where are you at?
Broken Arrow, Oklahoma 7411.
What address?
700 Magnolia Court.
Okay. Are you the only one there?
No, my brother's attacking my family.
Your dad is attacking your family?
No, my brother.
While the audio quality is low, yelling can be heard in the background as an attack ensues.
Oh, please, millions of people now.
Are you there?
Hello?
Hi, what's going on there? What's going on there? Hello? Hello?
The dispatcher tries calling back, but there is no answer. Officers are dispatched to the scene. When police arrive, they immediately notice blood on the front porch. They knock on the front door and hear a voice calling for help. They force their way into the house to find 13-year-old Crystal just inside the doorway, with multiple stab wounds, and laying in a pool of blood. They quickly drag her out of the house and call for backup. They re-enter the home, not certain whether there are other victims or if the attacker is still inside the home. There's blood everywhere. Next, they find the mother, April, and 12-year-old Daniel. Not sure whether they are still alive, they carry them out to the front yard in case they are. Returning, they next find Dad, David. It is clear that he is deceased. So they leave him and continue searching the home. Next, they encounter a locked bathroom door. Not sure whether the attackers have barricaded themselves inside, they kick it down. But there are no attackers inside. Instead, they find the lifeless bodies of 7-year-old Christopher and 5-year-old Victoria. The detective who found them said it was the worst thing that he's ever seen. They proceed upstairs to find 2-year-old Autumn laying in her crib, alive and asleep. She has slept through the entire massacre. By that point, all hands were on deck. With murders in Broken Arrow being a rarity, the full weight of law enforcement would ultimately be summoned to 709 Magnolia, including the K-9 unit, the entire detective force, firefighters, and paramedics. So, while officers continued searching and investigating the home, other officers noticed the back door was open and saw fresh footprints. The K-9 unit was put on the job to track the fleeing attackers. And it didn't take long to find them. Just 4 minutes. It was the 2 oldest brothers, Robert and Michael. They were hiding in the wooded area behind the home, hunkered down in the dirt. Officers instructed the pair to come out with their hands up. Robert complied, but Michael did not. So, a K-9 escorted him out of his spot, leaving bite marks on his right shoulder. The boys, covered in dirt and blood, were apprehended. And as they were being placed in the patrol cars, Robert said to his younger brother, "It's been a pleasure. I'm proud of what I've done." Photos of the murderous duo were captured at the time of their arrest. They reflected both the horrors that had taken place just moments before and, disturbingly, the satisfaction, the grotesque satisfaction that was obvious on the older brother's face. Police secured the boys in patrol cars while they continued processing the scene. From the car, they could see the aftermath of what they'd caused, including officers carrying off their 2-year-old sister alive. They prepared to take the boys back to the station for interrogation. At some point prior to the interrogations, Robert and Michael were allowed to talk privately and freely amongst themselves. Once the interrogations began, the boys were questioned separately. While the older Robert's interrogation footage remains sealed from public access, younger Michael's is not. We can only imagine what must have been contained in Robert's testimony as compared to Michael's that got his conversation sealed and unobtainable. Those interrogations, later trial testimony, and statements from the surviving sister began painting a picture that authorities and the community were nowhere near prepared for. Statements from the brothers as well as the surviving sister from that point through the trial outlined a scenario that continues to haunt authorities and the community to this day. Once the interrogations were underway, detectives quickly learned that this was not a spur-of-the-moment attack. The brothers had hatched their murder plan over a year before it happened. The pair were already as close as brothers could be. Having been isolated from other children and people in general, Robert and Michael relied on each other. They shared all their thoughts with each other and often talked late into the night in the room they shared together. According to Robert, they almost never left the house, typically going months without leaving. The parents also rarely left the home, only leaving to go to the grocery store every once in a while. And when they were home, the parents would typically lock themselves in their respective offices. There were even cameras in the hallways and in the kids' rooms, which their father used to monitor what the family was doing. And while the children were said to be homeschooled, Robert claimed otherwise. He described he and his siblings as being self-educated, learning from websites their mother would point them to. Robert said he himself taught Michael from 3rd through 5th grade, and based on how Michael wrote, it appeared to Robert that he had dyslexia. That was never determined, but what was clear was that Michael had a speech impediment, the result of which was their father yelling at him to stop and don't talk until you can speak clearly, and also shaking Michael because he was stuttering. So, Michael trusted his older brother wholeheartedly and looked up to him. Once the late-night talks between the brothers revealed that they were both fascinated by killing, murders and murderers consumed their conversations and their online activity. Because while April and David were busy insulating their children from the evils of the outside world, they let that outside world into their home, free and unfettered, via the internet. The children had access to multiple devices, with both Michael and Robert owning 2 laptops each amongst other devices. And they were free to access anything they wanted, no restrictions whatsoever. And that included access to the most heinous murders the pair could find, particularly those that involved multiple murders. They began to idolize serial killers like Ted Bundy and Richard Ramirez, and movie theater and school shootings like the one at Columbine, specifically noting the notoriety the killers drew. And with Robert's disdain for society in general, it was a deadly mix.
Why did he want to do it?
Kill people.
Yeah.
Well, mainly 2 reasons. I think it's because he just says he hates everyone. He thinks society is pointless, and so he wanted to kill people.
Yeah,
And also he wanted to beat the kill amount of other famous people like Columbine and James E. Holmes.
Okay. Did you kind of feel that way too? Like when you guys were talking earlier,
Yeah.
do you have a problem with society too, do you think?
No, I just.
Or you were just more like the number of people getting killed was kind of interesting and exciting?
Yeah.
Okay. So, because you mentioned a couple names are those like serial killers or something?
Well, like Columbine.
Yeah.
I would call him back in James E. Holmes. James E. Holmes is a guy that shot up the theater.
In Colorado?
Yeah, he killed 12. And
Wow. How many were killed in Columbine?
Columbine, I don't know, 15, I
Okay.
think.
Robert also felt that if he killed enough people, he would eventually kill someone who was not contributing to society, which would be a good thing, and that killing just a single person would not have an impact on society. But killing multiple people made him almost godlike. And their open and regular talk about mass murderers and killing their family wasn't just talk. Robert got a job at a Christian call center to earn money to buy the equipment they needed, including knives, guns, body armor, helmets, and ammunition. Their sister Crystal, who survived the attack, heard several of their conversations. At one point, over a year prior to the attack, they even asked her whether she would help them kill the entire family. Rightfully concerned, Crystal shared the highly troubling conversations about killing the family with their mother, including that they'd not just talked, but purchased knives, bulletproof vests, and more. But April was not concerned. Her response was that that's just what boys do, and that they're looking for attention. Their father was only upset that the boys were wasting their money. As the boys' obsession grew, they compared the killings of other mass shootings and vowed that theirs would be bigger than others. In their minds, outdoing previous mass murders would bring them the most fame.
Did you guys talk about being on the news and getting to see each other on TV and stuff.
Yep.
What kind of things did you say and talk about?
Mostly about how we were planning on killing more people.
Yeah.
Talk. And we become famous, we get on Wikipedia lists.
Oh, okay.
Famous people.
That'd be a big deal, yeah. I mean, do you think they might even make a movie or something, or a TV show?
I don't know about a good TV show, but
Did you guys talk about that?
yeah, definitely documentaries and stuff. He just wanted to be famous.
What did you want?
Me?
You keep talking about what he wanted. What did you want?
Michael's face lights up when asked what he wanted to do.
I just want to get my lawyers for me. Get a job.
Regarding the brothers hoping for a Wikipedia page, as Michael mentioned, a Wikipedia page does indeed exist related to the Broken Arrow murders. But it's not a page about them. On the page titled The Broken Arrow Murders, the two killers are not the central subjects of the page. It focuses more on the victims and the event itself. The killers are almost an afterthought, we assume by design. While trying to nail down the details of their plans, the detective asked about why they decided to use knives for the killings.
So was the plan to use the knives at first on the family? Because the guns weren't going to be here till later on?
Yeah, and the guns would be too loud.
Oh, I see.
So, we're going to use the knives on the family, which obviously did not go as planned.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Yeah.
I just saw the red swords right now. Like, we didn't put one people out of the
Yeah. Did,
The guns would be too loud. And, despite his conflicting facial expressions when he said it, Michael was right. Nothing went as planned. Or at least, not like they saw it in the movies. Detectives tried to draw out Michael's feelings about his parents.
do you guys not like your mom and dad? I mean, are they, I mean, most teenagers don't like their parents, so I can understand that.
Yeah, I mean, mom was okay, but dad was a little bit,
Just a little bit too much.
But, while Michael's feelings about his parents didn't seem to reflect his actions, Robert's did. Robert hated his parents and had been fantasizing about killing them since he was 13 after he claims they beat him. And so the plan was devised. The original time frame for the attack was slated to be September. But as all the pieces started falling in place, they realized they were prepared to start killing earlier. They had been collecting knives for months. And once Robert turned 18, he found out that he could legally purchase guns. That's when he announced his final plan to Michael. Michael would later write about how, when Robert told him about that final plan to kill everyone in the house, then go on a killing spree across the country, he said that his response was that he thought it was a great idea. They started by ordering the guns online and having them delivered to a local gun store where they could pick them up. Once the gun store called and told them the guns had arrived and were ready for pickup, they began coordinating their timing. They ordered over 2,000 rounds of ammunition to be delivered to their home. Once they knew the day the ammo would arrive, they planned to murder their family the day before to prevent them from seeing it. Then, once their family was out of the way, they could freely receive the delivery, then pick up the weapons without question.
Okay, so as the planning goes, just tell me what plans you started making and coming up with.
Well, originally, I think kind of stayed steady throughout the month. Is we wanted to kill everyone at the house first, and
Okay.
then wait for all the packages to show up over the weekend. And then we take the Yukon and we together our state with the guns and start killing, rampaging.
Did you know where you were going to drive to?
Towards Washington.
Washington State or DC?
Washington State. It was Washington State.
Why would you go to Washington State?
It's kind of it's kind of the direction we planned on.
And you said Yukon, did your parents have like a Yukon, is that what it is?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a large Yukon XL.
The plan was to slaughter their family with knives, dismember them, then store them in tubs in the attic. They would then clean up the mess and wait until they had their hands on the ammunition and weapons the next day. Then steal the family's vehicle to begin their killing spree, journeying to the randomly chosen Washington State, killing batches of 5 or so people at a time at restaurants and gas stations along the route, hoping to reach a kill count of over 100. Although even that plan was flawed.
XL.
Does Robert have a driver's license?
He has a motor scooter.
Okay. So he would be able to drive it. Can you drive if you had to?
No, I couldn't.
Well, you can play video games, surely you can drive a car.
It's a different.
Just not very well. I mean, you could get it from point A to B. You might hit some things on the way, but okay.
As the detectives continued establishing a rapport with Michael to get him to share as much about the night's events as possible, a cut he sustained during the attack began bleeding again.
Everything started falling in place.
Kleenex right there for your mom. Yeah, Kleenex right there.
There we go.
Oh.
Or maybe it's from your finger, I don't know. Yeah.
But,
His bleeding finger was a subtle reminder that this interrogation was taking place just a handful of hours after the massacre, at approximately 7 a.m. the morning following the midnight attacks, to be precise. The fact that Michael is able to relay the accounts of the evening in such a calm, detached manner is unsettling, but apparently less disturbing than his brother's sealed interrogation. Detectives reported that during Robert's interrogation, he regularly laughed and chuckled while describing the attacks, at times becoming mildly excited. The brothers also planned to document their rampage so they'd have something to boast about. They intended to create two versions of their family's killings, one that included the bodies of their family, and one without the bodies that could be released online to the public. Michael's interrogation continued, and while he was forthcoming with all their detailed plans, when it came to detailing the actual murders, Michael downplayed his involvement. One by one, he described how Robert did all of the killing, while he just stood by and watched.
when they started attacking Dad, they got a little bit of a fight, but then eventually, Ronald got him down, I think he killed him.
Did he cut his throat too? Where did that happen?
In our room.
In your room?
Yep.
And where were you?
I was standing in the hallway.
Okay. So did you see him cut your dad's throat?
He would eventually fess up to stabbing his 7-year-old brother, Christopher, one time in the neck. But police still don't buy it.
Because here's what I'm seeing happen. You guys had all these detailed plans. You had all the cool stuff to make it happen.
Yeah.
And it kind of started falling apart. And you said, like, it didn't go as planned. Did you kind of just freak out a little bit? Like,
Yeah,
what's really happening?
Well, I didn't know it was going to like.
Yeah, you don't. But here's what's getting me is like, it's crazy because you guys worked together and made all these plans and, had it all figured out. And then when it happens, you're just kind of standing there not doing anything. And did you decide like, Robert's going to kill everybody and I'm going to stand here and do nothing, so I better, did you
Yeah,
decide?
I think that was my plan. I didn't want to kill anyone, I couldn't do it, so I was going to let him, kill everyone.
Yeah, you stabbed somebody in the neck.
No, I just kind of.
Well, what I'm saying is it's not Robert's the one that should get all the credit here.
Yeah.
Because it's a big deal. You're gonna be on the news. You know what I mean?
I know.
People are gonna wanna interview you.
I don't want to be interviewed with this.
Well, but I'm just thinking,
He does.
because you had said you had the plans, like, you're supposed to kill this person.
Yep.
He's supposed to kill this person. Were you supposed to kill Christopher? Was he your responsibility?
No,
It just worked out that
Christopher
way?
and Daniel was supposed to be his responsibility. I was always supposed to kill Dad and Victoria, hold the Victoria.
But he had already basically done that.
Yeah.
So now you're left standing there. So were you trying to kill Christopher when you stabbed him in the neck? Were you just gonna?
I broke his missed the middle of the neck. I think I might have even hit him in the shoulder. I certainly didn't do it hard, but I don't know.
They ask him how he feels about it all.
Yeah,
But that was like, because it's 8 o'clock in the morning now. So it's like 8 hours ago.
Yeah.
So how do you feel now?
I
Just kind of,
I didn't want to do that.
yeah.
I straight on that.
Police give him an opportunity to tell the truth about his involvement, but he sticks with his story that he only stabbed Christopher, and only once.
So here's a problem that we might have, and I don't want it to be an issue for you because you've been really cooperative. We're going to talk to Robert too.
Yep.
So he's going to give us his version of the story, and sometimes they're going to be different. So Is there anything that you kind of didn't quite tell me right, or you changed a little bit, and now that you understand that Robert's going to tell me everything?
He'll probably tell you that he'll forgive them, because that's what I told him, when they were sitting out in the woods, to make conversation. But, forensics will show you how they stabbed Christopher.
What three?
What do you mean you told him? So you told him you killed 3 people?
Yeah, I told him,
So just kind of let us know, to be honest, to man up and tell us exactly what you did and start making it right.
I hit Christopher. I did not stab Victoria or Daniel.
You did not stab Victoria.
I tried to stab her.
You stabbed them all.
I got it, but she was walking back to go for a neck, but,
Is that when you cut yourself? Yeah.
I think after that.
Where did you stab her?
I think I had to go from behind and cut her back.
Did you cut her?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, this doesn't seem like something you have to think about. I know it's you're still kind of dealing with it. And I wasn't there, I wasn't the one doing it, but you don't have to think about it. You know what you did. So you cut her neck, you stabbed Christopher in the neck. How many times did you stab Christopher?
2 or 3, I think.
And who else did you stab?
Besides Mom.
Because here's the thing, everybody's been stabbed, and you both had knives, and we know you both stabbed everybody. So you guys are kind of at the same level, and so now it's who's going to be honest and make this right, and who's a liar, okay? Which one do you want to be?
No.
Okay, so you're a man of your word?
Yes.
Okay. Do you want to make this right and do the right thing at this point in time?
Yes.
Okay. What else are you missing?
He has added his mother, but won't fess up to stabbing anyone beyond her and Christopher. He claims he only participated in the killings because Robert said that he'd kill him if he didn't. The second investigator switches gears and asks for clarification on why they decided to kill their family.
And so you only stabbed your family because they were in the way towards the bigger plan?
Well, the reason we was trying to kill family is, they were in the way and, higher count.
Just to start off with the big count.
So is this all a game? This higher count, I'm confused. Is this a game?
It's, like trying to become famous, trying to get, set a record.
How do you feel about what you've done now?
I didn't like it the minute it started.
How do you feel about your mother? You watched her get stabbed, you cut her throat yourself, and you watched her bleed all over the place and scream. How does that make you feel?
Don't think about it.
You don't want to think about it? And Christopher, your little brother, you stabbed him in the neck. What has he ever done to you? So he's just a number.
Yes.
And how do you feel about that now?
It's pointless.
It's what?
Pointless.
Pointless.
Detectives had heard enough. No more questions after that. Despite Michael's claim of limited involvement, forensic evidence along with statements and testimony from the brothers and surviving sister told a different story. They would reveal the full gruesome events that unfolded that night. The brothers planned for their family's massacre to begin at midnight after everyone had gone to bed. They would then kill each family member one by one, even the baby, as Michael refers to her in his handwritten statement. First, Michael would kill their father with a crossbow. Then Robert would slit their mother's throat. At about 11:30 p.m., everyone in the home was asleep except the 2 older brothers, the mother April and Crystal. April asked Crystal to remind her older brothers that they needed to do the dishes. Crystal went to their room and found that they had put on body armor. She also noticed several knives that they had laid out on the bed. She had seen them wear body armor before and also knew about their extensive collection of knives. So she began to leave the room when Michael asked Robert, "Should we do it right now?" Robert replied yes and called her back in, telling her to look at something on Michael's computer. As she looked over Michael's shoulder at his computer, Robert stood behind her, put his hand over her mouth, and slashed her throat. The boys expected her to die instantly and quietly, after which they would drag her body to the closet. But she didn't. Instead, she screamed and fought, and she ran, and there was blood everywhere. Hearing all the screaming, April came running into the room. So, Robert began stabbing her as well. She started running and screaming for someone in the house to call 911. This is the point where Robert claimed to police that he realized that killing people was a lot harder than he thought it would be. As Robert shifted to attacking his mother, Crystal frantically looked for a cell phone and yelled at her younger sister Victoria to lock herself in the bathroom. Unable to find his cell phone, Crystal headed to the front door to sound the alarm. She made it to the front yard where she passed out. As Robert headed to the front yard to retrieve Crystal, he left his mother behind for Michael to finish off, which he did. April fought aggressively but could not survive her 48 stab wounds. She'd had more wounds than I've ever seen in any body, ever, according to one investigator. In the yard, Robert reached Crystal, and seeing that she was still alive, tried to strangle her. She started playing dead at that point, so he dragged her from the front yard to the front porch, then told Michael to bring her the rest of the way into the house, so they could go and find the rest of the children. Michael dragged a presumably dead Crystal just inside the entryway, so they could later dismember her along with the rest of the family. Then, he rejoined Robert to continue their plan. Meanwhile, 7-year-old Christopher had locked himself in one of the bathrooms with his 5-year-old sister, Victoria. And back to that deception we mentioned earlier. When Robert asked younger Michael where everyone was, Michael told him they were hiding. Then Michael went to the bathroom where Christopher and Victoria were hiding, knocked on the door and said, "Let me in. He's gonna kill me." When they unlocked the door to rescue their brother from Robert, Michael stabbed both of them to death. Christopher was stabbed 21 times, and Victoria, 23.
So, I guess where I'm kind of confused is if you didn't want this anymore and you didn't want this to go down this way, why con them into opening the doors and letting this continue?
I was kind of help Robert. Because,
Michael would eventually own up to being the person who stabbed both Christopher and Victoria prior to his trial. 12-year-old Daniel was also hiding, having locked himself in his father's office, which was right next to the bathroom where Christopher and Victoria were just stabbed. He had Michael's cell phone and called 911. Michael used the same trick to get Daniel to open the door, claiming that Robert was attacking him. The young boy let him in. Michael took the phone from Daniel and smashed it, after which he told Robert, "He's all yours." Robert began stabbing Daniel, who managed to run away, but he only made it to the living room near his mother, where he collapsed and died. His call to 911 likely saved his surviving sister's lives. He was stabbed 21 times. The father, David, had been sleeping upstairs during the ordeal. Once he was awakened by the commotion, he came downstairs. As soon as he saw what was happening, he charged at Robert. But Robert was able to stab his father in the chest, sending him to the floor, where Robert continued stabbing him until he, too, was dead. He was stabbed over 28 times. Robert would later comment on how he was glad he was wearing Kevlar sleeves during the attacks because several of his family members tried to bite him, and he was glad to be protected by the sleeves. Nearly all 6 victims had defensive wounds in their attempts to fight off their attackers, even young Victoria. Most were stabbed in some combination of their head, face, neck, chest, back, abdomen, and arms. Shortly after killing Daniel, they heard a knock on the door. They knew it wasn't the police because with Crystal now screaming just inside the doorway, police would certainly have made their way in. So, figuring it was a neighbor, they panicked, quickly put their vests and helmets on, made an unsuccessful attempt to find their mother's keys to the car, then abandoned the rest of their plan to dismember the bodies, obtain the ammo and weapons, and flee in the family vehicle, which was out front and inaccessible since someone was at the front door. Instead, they ran out the back door, over the fence, and into the wooded area behind their house. Also, since they were rushed by the knock at the door, they forgot about their last intended victim, the baby. They had planned to decapitate her with an axe. The moment they got to the familiar wooded area, the boys collapsed in exhaustion from all the stabbing. They knew exactly when the police arrived because they could hear the sirens approaching. Then the dogs, but they didn't move. With Michael not surrendering voluntarily, the K-9 dragged him out. An event which apparently did not have a traumatic effect on him.
All my vests and my helmets, it was laying in the woods. The dog pulled it off of me.
Oh,
I was wearing it.
Oh, you were wearing it?
Yeah, I was wearing the sort of vest and the plate coat and the helmet. So I took that, and the rest of my body all was still in the closet.
Okay. So you guys collapsed. Or were you just kind of hiding out?
Yeah, we were just laying in a little ditch thing in the woods, and then we saw the light and we laid down, and the dog came over.
Did you hear the dog coming?
Mm-hmm. I heard them coming, I saw them coming, and then they started yelling, and put your hands up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they stepped on my head and handcuffed me.
Okay.
While law enforcement and emergency responders continued clearing the home, 2-year-old Autumn was moved to safety, and Crystal, who immediately named her 2 older brothers as the attackers, was whisked to a hospital to be treated for her life-threatening wounds, including being slashed across her stomach so severely that her internal organs protruded and needed to be surgically placed back inside of her. Paramedics were shocked that she was still alive given her condition. Once police searched the home, they recovered a thumb drive that had some live footage from the rampage, but specifics about what was contained have not been made public. Each brother was charged with 5 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of assault and battery with a deadly weapon. Both initially pleaded not guilty. Robert would eventually change his plea to guilty in a plea deal that involved prosecutors not seeking the death penalty against him. Crystal Bever asked the district attorney to make sure that Robert never gets out of prison. Robert Bever received the maximum penalty short of death, which was 5 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole for the 5 first-degree murder charges, plus an additional life sentence for the assault with the intent to kill charge. He was also ordered to pay a $1,000 fine and $6,000 in victims' compensation. Michael's trial began on April 20th, 2018. His defense attorney fought against him being tried as an adult, but in Oklahoma, 15 to 17-year-olds charged with first-degree murder must be tried as adults. At the beginning of the trial, the judge ruled that both Michael's confession and the extensive journal of photos that he had drawn in jail could be used in court, including his crayon depictions of the killings and the people involved. Both Crystal and Robert were called to testify. Now 21, Robert testified that he was the one who killed all of his family members and insisted that all Michael did was persuade their siblings to open their locked doors. However, his testimony frequently contradicted both the evidence and Crystal's testimony. The prosecution called him on it. His response was that he lied during most of his police interview, telling police what he wanted to happen, not what actually happened. He also claimed that he lied to police about Michael killing so that Michael could get some credit in case they became famous. A lot of Robert's testimony also revolved around their upbringing, and specifically that he and his siblings were commonly physically and mentally abused by their father. He recalled 2 instances where their dad had punched and kicked Michael. He called that common behavior for their dad. Robert also described how his father once dragged him up the stairs for leaving the light on, and his mother once slapped him so hard that it left a mark on his face, to which she joked that he looked like the Joker. She thought it was hilarious. He was furious. Robert believed that his parents hated all of their kids and that they only kept having them for the tax benefit. He also described in graphic detail every move he made while performing the killings, right down to how the blood felt in his hands and how his mother prayed out loud for him while he was stabbing her. Crystal confirmed the abuse allegations. Her victim impact statement, read for her by her adoptive mother, expressed fear that Michael would be released and kill her to finish what he started. The jury found Michael guilty on all counts. He was sentenced to 5 life sentences with the possibility of parole for the first-degree murder charges, plus 28 years for the assault, all to be served consecutively. At least half of the jurors openly wept as the verdict was being read, prompting the bailiff to pass out tissues. After the verdict was handed down, Michael attempted to sit down, but fell on the floor and had to be helped back into his seat by an officer. Robert is currently serving his sentence in the Joseph Hart Correctional Center, while Michael resides at the Lexington Correctional Center. Both are medium security prisons located in Lexington, Oklahoma. Since being imprisoned, Robert has inked 2 sets of tattoos on his hands. On one hand, it says LWOP X5, which stands for Life Without Parole times 5. His other hand says Life. In July 2019, at age 24, Robert attacked prison staff with an 8-inch long sharpened instrument. He tried to attack them from behind, but guards overpowered him. Robert pleaded guilty to assault and battery and received an additional 3 life sentences, tacked onto his existing 6. Michael's defense attempted to appeal his sentence, claiming that the state rules prohibiting life sentences for juveniles was violated. Each individual life sentence with possibility of parole was allowed, but with the multiple life sentences strung back to back, it amounted to a life sentence without possibility of parole. The appeal made it to the Supreme Court, which ruled that child murderers should not get a volume discount when they kill multiple people, and that the decision to make the sentences consecutive was within their discretion. The former Bever home where the murders took place was listed for sale, but there were no takers. In February of 2017, the Tulsa Community Foundation began a fundraising campaign to turn the home into a memorial garden. A month later, the home was mysteriously burned down. Authorities suspected arson, but a culprit was never identified. Shortly after that, the foundation reached its $50,000 fundraising goal, bought the house, and turned the deed over to the city of Tulsa to turn the home into one of the city's parks. The home was demolished, and the resulting park was dedicated the following year. Sally, the family dog, who remained quiet in a crate in an upstairs closet during the massacre, went unnoticed until about 16 hours after the massacre. A neighbor decided to take Sally in just in case either of the survivors ever wanted to come get her back. While the surviving children, Crystal and Autumn, were placed in state custody, their whereabouts and lives after that are unknown, with authorities sealing all information from the public for their protection. We hope this video did justice to all the victims of this senseless massacre. This case was a constant head shaker. Tulsa County DA Steve Kunzweiler summed it up best, recalling the scene on that tragic night. "It is seared into my memory. I will not presume to know how or why people choose to do the things they do, which bring harm to innocent lives. We will never understand either." We look forward to hearing your thoughts about this case in the comments. And if you like how we presented this case, we really appreciate.
Well, that case is a lot to take in. And honestly, it's the kind of story that actually stays with you. And what makes it hit so hard is not just the violence, but the fact that it happened inside the home where people should have been their safest. I want to know what stood out to you the most as we went through this. Drop your thoughts and your comments in the comments, and let's talk more about it. If you're here for real conversation, commentary, and straightforward breakdowns of cases like this, make sure you like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.